Salutations to all my utopians out there. This is Global on behalf of Global Utopia Sports, courtesy of Woj. Big three-team blockbuster trade already starting off this offseason. Kristaps Porzingis to the Celtics, Tyus Jones to the Wizards, and Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies. Whoa. I don't know, call me naive, but I thought Marcus Smart was going to be a lifer. And boy, oh boy, does the Memphis Grizzlies front office brass not play around. When they tell you you will not be returning, they mean it. They knew right away who they were going to go after. Now, I don't know, maybe that's an overstatement, but they were like, we can find someone who does what you do without being a distraction. Now you got Marcus Smart, you got Steve Adams in that locker room. People can say whatever you want. That Memphis team is a title contender when they get their head screwed on correctly. Steve Adams missed a heavy portion of last year. That's a guy who's played in some real wars, and I guarantee you Memphis would have went a lot further in the playoffs had he been healthy. Brandon Clark wasn't there. That's two frontline soldiers that were not available that would have changed the entire dynamic of that team. Jay Square is emerging as one of the best big men in the game, especially at the 4 spot. And now you're going to add Marcus Smart. They're bringing stability to this team. This is a franchise that is not playing around. They know what they got. They know what they're holding. And they are in the process of right now solidifying that locker room, giving up 2 draft picks for Marcus Smart. You got more. Heck, Celtics got more draft capital than the Washington Wizards got for Bradley Beal. And you can save me with the particulars. I get it. He had a no trade clause, but that's still outlandish. Bradley Beal was led the league in scoring at one point in the league, averaging north of 30. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Tyus Jones, in those games where, Ja was missing time for one reason or another, he's always showed in a sample size that he is a more than serviceable point guard. I'm anxious to see a backcourt of him and Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin, who they drafted 10th overall last year. Don't give up on that name. That guy has a lot of potential. I'm telling you right now, he's emerging. He's going to only get better now that he's going to get more minutes. And I'm excited to see him play next year. I think that's a name you got to watch out for. It's like kind of a situation similar to what's going on in Portland with Anthony Simmons replacing CJ. You don't move off Bradley Beal unless you have a promising young prospect, and that's exactly what Jonathan Davis is out of Wisconsin. So salute to the Wizards. They're continuing their process in the rebuild. Now to the big dog over there in Boston. This is a ground shaking move here. For whatever reason, I don't get the feeling that this is the last of the Celtics moves with those 2 draft picks. Now you got Tatum, you got Brown, you got Porzingis. Something tells me they're going to use those draft picks and go ahead and try to land some more depth. Maybe go get Scary Terry back into Boston from Charlotte, who I believe is expendable. The Celtics just reinserted themselves in the topic of legit title contenders. I can't wait to see what the Vegas odds formulate in terms of them, but I can only imagine it's going to make them a top 3. This is a brilliant move from the standpoint. There's not a lot of playmakers left in the league, and damn sure not available on the market. And so for them to go out and say, hey, you know what? We're going to get another threat on the court who's capable of drawing a double team, but we're going to do it in our front line. This trade right here has been long overdue. I honestly thought when Porzingis got traded to Dallas that Danny Ainge, with all that draft capital he had under his belt, he was going to acquire Porzingis back then. But I've been waiting for quite some time. It's long overdue. He's finally home on the East Coast again, even though I know he's not from the East Coast. But he has a strong fan base here, forgive me, in Boston, on the East Coast and in Boston. And now you're playing with 2 guys who can draw a double team, and he can score on all 3 levels. He's going to give them some added shot blocking, which they've been desperate for. And this team is just, kudos to them. This is the best move I've seen from Brad Stevens since he's been hired, whether from the coach capacity or the front office. This is a tremendous job right here. What we're witnessing right now is they are a legitimate threat. Now you got a rim protector for the Giannis, for the Joel Embiids. even if it's just him as a help defender. I don't see him guarding those guys head up, but even as a help defender, this just is an amazing move out of left field. I'm so glad for the Celtics. What more can you really say? This is an interesting offseason. This is a fun offseason. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about Bradley Beal pretty soon. And Global Utopia out.